Hello friends, welcome to Wisdom Wednesdays. I'm playing around with lighting just like on the phone, and this looks dark, but I like it better than this because this way it looks like I've got like this bright shining light behind me, and I don't like that. So I'm just going to be a bit in the shadows today, and that's just the way it is. So today we're reading from Proverbs again. On Wisdom Wednesdays we're still going through this, and it's slow and short little sections, which I'm really appreciating. We are in the 8th paternal appeal, sexuality, in Proverbs 5 verses 1 through 23. So this is still under the second section, which is a father's invitation to wisdom, and it goes all the way from chapter 1 verse 8 to 9 verse 18. So we are currently in chapter 5 verses 1 through 23. The 8th paternal appeal, the 8th paternal appeal, sexuality. So let's just flip over there, beginning of chapter 5, and we're reading 23 verses today in the ESV. A warning against adultery. My son, be attentive to my wisdom. Incline your ear to my understanding, that you may keep direction, and your lips may guard knowledge. For the lips of a forbidden woman drip honey, and her speech is smoother than oil. But in the end she is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death. Her steps follow the path to Sheol. She does not ponder the path of her feet. Her ways wander, and she does not know it. And now, O sons, listen to me, and do not depart from the words of my mouth. Keep your way far from her, and do not go near the door of her house, lest you give your honor to others, and your years to the merciless, lest strangers take their fill of your strength, and your labors go to the house of a foreigner. At the end of your life you groan, when your flesh and body are consumed, and you say, how I hated discipline, and my heart despised reproof. I did not listen to the voice of my teachers, or incline my ear to my instructors. I am at the brink of utter ruin in the assembled congregation. Drink water from your cistern, flowing water from your well. Should your springs be scattered abroad, streams of water in the streets? Let them be for yourself alone, not for strangers with you. Let your fountain be blessed, and rejoice in the wife of your youth, a lovely deer, a graceful doe. Let her breasts fill you at all times with delight. Be intoxicated always in her love. Why not? Why should you be intoxicated, my son, with a forbidden woman, and embrace the bosom of an adulteress? For a man's ways are before the eyes of the Lord, and he ponders all his paths. The iniquities of the wicked ensnare him, and he is held fast in the cords of his sin. He dies for lack of discipline, and because of his great folly, he is led astray. That is Proverbs chapter 5. It's the entire chapter, actually 1 through 23 in the ESV. And this was the 8th paternal appeal, sexuality, which is so appropriate in our world these days, where we are consumed and obsessed with it. It has become, the only marker of who you are as a human being, it would seem, which is not really appropriate. We are so much more than that. So as I look at this, it's definitely to a father to a son, as we have seen throughout this section. And so it is addressing a son and talking about an adulteress and referring to a woman. But I think what we need to remember is that does not mean that we can't look at it from the standpoint as women and say, okay, this applies to me as well. I should stay away from the same things that this man is being told to stay away from. I should, number one, not be that woman that is enticing men. And number two, I should not go towards men who are enticing me away from the rules and the boundaries and the beauty that God wants me to have in my sexual life, whether I'm married or single. And I think that is true. One of the things that I know, and I have been learning more and more about the older I get, is that we are all sexually broken. And when we step outside of God's plan for our sexuality and for who we are, when God, when our sex life, when it becomes confusing, God becomes confusing. These boundaries and God, the way God says to do it, he gets to do that because he made us. He created us, and we don't like that. It's the last thing that we want to hang on to, actually, in our rebellion against him. We hang very tightly onto that. It's the last thing we'll let him have any authority in our life around. So I find this interesting because what I wrote on the side is, because it's twice mentioned that she does not ponder the path of life. Her ways wander, and she does not know it. And which is very true. When you're in sin sexually, you are affirming yourself constantly, always making excuses or acting like it really doesn't matter. And then it also talks here, where does it say it? Oh, shoot, I should have noted it. Oh, here, it's right at the end, verse 21. We're not close to the end. For a man's ways are before the eyes of the Lord, and he ponders all his paths. God knows where your feet are going. He sees when you are going the wrong way, when you have made a mistake, when you have sinned against him and yourself, really. When you sin sexually, you sin against yourself. So my encouragement to you would be ponder the path of your feet and reflect, because God reflects on your steps. And so should you. And this is extremely important when you think about you and how you are behaving in your sexuality. And near the end here, I wrote too that sin begets sin. When you are in sin, you continue in it. It is difficult to stop yourself from walking down the wrong path. So my request to you, and I think what God is saying in this, that we need to really be pondering and looking and seeing where we are stepping when it comes to our sexuality and how we are behaving. It's hard. It's hard because we're all sexually broken. So this is a big one. Anyway, Proverbs 5, verses 1 through 23, which is the whole chapter in the ESV. Wisdom Wednesdays, the 8th paternal appeal, the 8th paternal appeal on sexuality. Goodness, I'm stumbling over that today. Anyway, may you be blessed. Ponder the path of your feet, because God is also pondering your path, and he loves you. That's why he gave you the boundaries that he did. Have a blessed day.